Okay, we are going to talk about fraction decimal equivalents. We know how to do very simple fraction decimal equivalents if the denominator is 10 or a multiple of 10. For example, we know that we can write 3/10 as a decimal or as a fraction. We know that we can write 12/100 as a decimal or as a fraction, and we know how to do thousands also. 634 thousandths can be a decimal or a fraction, and those are pretty easy. We also need to know some specific examples of certain fractions and what their decimal equivalent is. So today I'm going to show you fourths. 1/4, 2/4 or 1/2, and 3/4. The easiest way to remember fourths as decimals is to think about money. We can take $1 and easily divide it into fourths. So I'm just going to flip this over. If I take my $1 and I think about it in 4 parts, I know that it takes 4 quarters to make $1. So here are my fourths. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4 is the whole. So I can say this is 1/4. If I have 2 of them, here's my 2/4. 3 of them is 3/4, and my 1 whole we know is just 1 whole. So as a decimal, this is really easy because I know that a quarter equals 25 cents. And I know I can write that because if I can write money, I can write decimals. So 1/4 is the same as 25 hundredths. 2/4, which I know is the same as 1/2, is 2 quarters, which I know equals 50 cents. 50 hundredths is the same as 1/2. 3/4 is 3 quarters, and I know 3 quarters equals 75 cents. 75 hundredths. So these are 3 fractions that you need to also be able to write as decimals. And we know that in 50 hundredths, this 0 might not always be there. So we can actually write that as 5/10. Anytime I see 5/10, I should be automatically thinking that that's 1/2. So in your notebooks, let's make sure that you have these examples. 1/4 as a decimal is 25 hundredths. 2/4 or 1/2 as a decimal is 5/10, or you can have that 0. 3/4 as a decimal is 75 hundredths. Make sure you have all 3 of these examples in your notes.